Grace and peace to you, everybody. This is Minister Kevin Baldwin, and we're here live broadcasting Faith in Cleveland. I hope everybody is doing well on this fine, beautiful day. As you know, I've been talking about a violence prevention program called Breaking Cycles. A couple of weeks ago, I introduced Breaking Cycles, and on the last broadcast, I was telling you how to set breaking cycles up, and I gave you basically a roadmap on what it takes to get involved. Well, today I want to go a little further into detail and tell you exactly what the performances are we need in order for breaking cycles to be effective. So today's broadcast, I'm actually calling it Executive Strategy because that's exactly what I want to give you. Before I get started, I just want to read a quick prayer. And this is from 1 Chronicles 12, verse 32 and 33. And the children of Issachar, which were men that had understanding of the times to know what Israel ought to do, the heads of them were 200, and all their brethren were at their commandment. Zebulun, such as went forth to battle, expert in war, with all instruments of war, 50,000, which could keep rank. They were not of a double heart. I pray, may the Lord show us the best thing to do and teach us the best way to do it, that eventually we will be ministers of healing and restoration for the land and for the people, in the name of Jesus. As you know, you've got some writing to do because I want to give you a little information that I want you to study from and practice getting involved with. I want you to practice putting this information into your daily practice and see who you may be able to collaborate with that can help you begin to form, community circles that will get engaged in making a difference. The first thing I want to give you is a list of power zones. There are 5 power zones in any corporation or organization. The 5 power zones are these. The first power zone is official power. The second power zone, expertise and knowledge power. The third power zone is incentive power. The fourth power zone is credibility power. And your fifth power zone is access power. And if you think about how any structure operates, these are the only 5 powers that exist. And even in your personal life, you experience one of these power zones for yourself on a daily basis. Okay, so I've given you 5 power zones. It's a reason for that. Because you'll be interacting with people, with organizations, I want to give you a list of audience types. There are 6 audience types that you will engage at all times. The first audience type is your hostile audience. The second audience type will be the non-supportive audience. Your third audience type will be your uninterested audience. Then you have your neutral audience. The fifth audience type will be the uninformed audience. Your last audience type will be your supportive audience. Now, it's a reason I gave you these 2 lists, because depending on the audience you're in front of, that will determine the power zone you need to operate in. I want to read to you something, evidence-based data and statistics. As you know, I mentioned that I'm in collaboration with Case Western. their research department for the Schubert Center Children's Study. They have experts from various fields that come in on occasions and actually give seminars. These seminars are called discussion series, and we would like to get people to come together and organize these discussion series in neighborhoods, preferably through churches or either recreation centers or someplace where you have permission to gather an audience and hold discussions and community information groups. One of these discussion series was from 2016, and what this was based on, the subject matter is preschool expulsion and students most at risk. Bear with me for a few minutes because some of this information, it is mind-blowing, it's unfair to the children, and as you can see, when I mentioned the necessity of inclusiveness, there has to be policies in place where children are not left out or being just outright dismissed and pushed to the side because they have a behavior problem. Back in December of 2016, this guy's name is Dr. Walter Gilliam. He's a doctor of an associate professor of child psychiatry and psychology. He's also director of the Edward Ziegler Center in Child Development and Social Policy at Yale University. I want to go into exactly what was discussed because I was at this discussion series. If you go on the website for Schubert Center past events, you can download the actual notes from the discussion series they have had within the past 2 or 3 years. Just go on Case Western Reserve website. Look up events, and you want to go to past events, and there you will see a list of the discussion series. Why are these young children being expelled? In the United States, preschool children are being expelled from school at a rate that is 3 times greater than children in grades K through 12. Gilliam began by highlighting research which reveals the large disparities in expulsion and suspension rates for preschoolers. Almost 4,000 preschool teachers in 40 states were randomly selected to respond to a survey. Responses showed that 10.4% of preschool teachers had expelled at least one child in the past year due to behavior problems. The expulsion rate from the data indicates that 6.7 children out of every 1,000 preschoolers are being expelled. This is compared to the expulsion rate for K through 12, which is just 2.1 children out of every 1,000. Gilliam discussed several risk factors that predict higher rates of expulsion in preschool classrooms. These risk factors include high child-teacher ratios, high teacher job stress, and length of school day. These risk factors are not child behaviors, and thus preschool expulsion is not a child behavior, but an adult decision. Why are some being expelled more than others? This data was taken from a survey 2013 through 2014. When talking about who gets expelled from preschool classrooms, Dr. Gilliam highlighted what he calls the 3 B's of expulsion risk. The 3 B's are big, black, and boy. The data shows that 4-year-olds are 50% more likely to be expelled than 3-year-olds. Black preschoolers are 3.6 times as likely as white preschoolers to be expelled, and boys are more than 4 times as likely as girls to be expelled. The three B's raises a number of questions, including why are boys and black children most at risk? Gilliam discussed some potential reasons, such as research that shows that boys are more susceptible to stressors, and children of color often have more stressors and often attend poor quality programs. And this is what Breaking Cycles is designed to remedy. Now you see why I stress the urgency of community involvement in programs such as Breaking Cycles and Second Step. However, these are not enough to account for all of the disparities. Gilliam and his colleagues recently conducted a research study to examine the impact of implicit biases on early suspensions and expulsions. In the first part of the study, 135 preschool teachers were recruited to watch a video of 4 children and look for challenging behaviors. But none of the children in the video were actually exhibiting challenging behaviors. Using eye trackers, the researchers tracked which children the teachers were watching. The results showed that when they were expecting bad behavior, they looked more at the black children than the white children, and they looked at the black boy the most. In the second part of the study, teachers were given a vignette. They were given a vignette to read about a child disrupting class. The child in the vignette was randomly assigned a stereotypical black or white name. Teachers were instructed to act as if the child is in your classroom and tell us how you would respond. The findings from the study indicate that teachers appear to expect challenging behaviors from black children and specifically black boys. It also showed that white teachers have lower behavioral standards for black children, but black teachers have relatively high standards for black children. Gilliam stressed that caring about preschool expulsion is a social justice and civil rights matter, and having access to quality preschool is incredibly important for all children. Gilliam was joined by 3 community respondents who discussed current efforts in the state of Ohio to address high preschool expulsion rates. Let me skip down. I want to tell you about some of the programs that are being implemented, and this is where Breaking Cycles and Second Step comes in. Allow me to, sidebar for a minute. What Breaking Cycles is intended to achieve by setting it up through what I told you about, an outreach wraparound, we would start it up through the churches. There are Second Step training kits to train up Second Step facilitators, whereby eventually you would be considered a paraprofessional. Once you are considered and certified to be a paraprofessional in Second Step, then that would cause for us to put through a curriculum proposal where Second Step can be accepted as a standard curriculum within the schools, and we would maneuver Second Step facilitators into the schools. And what we need is someone in the schools that is Breaking Cycles and Second Step trained. We need you in place for what's called, what is it called? We need you in place in order to have a quality presence for observance. There's a name for it. I can't remember. They just came out with the term. But they will allow you, if you tell them, if you contact the schools and let them know you're involved with the Second Step program and you're there for an observatory presence, let them know who sent you, who you're connected with, and that's why I say it, depending on your audience type, you have to know the power zone you need to be operating in. because someone may be more in favor of it, someone may be shielded against it. But if we have enough people involved, there's always strength in numbers. Let me tell you about some of the people that are actually involved in this. There is someone named Tanya Morrow who is with Beechbrook. She highlighted 2 programs in the county, including early childhood mental health consultations through the Adams Board of Cuyahoga County, which helped to keep the children in the classroom and out of therapy. She also mentioned a program through Starting Point, a Northeast Ohio organization working to enhance early childhood experiences that focuses on the teachers and provides training and support to teachers who have special needs children in their classrooms. Dr. Valerie Alloy, PhD from the Ohio Department of Mental Health and Addiction Services, is the lead for Ohio's early childhood mental health initiatives. She highlighted 4 things that Ohio is doing with $9.1 million in grant money through the Whole Child Matters Early Childhood Mental Health Initiative. First, the state has created a hotline partnership with nationwide children's hospitals to reduce preschool expulsions. Now, I've told you so far about preschool expulsions. There's something else you need to know. Are you ready for this? Also, along with preschool expulsion and suspension, they've also had experts to come in and address the interaction between law officers and the youth. Research has also showed not only are they suspending and expelling young children, in cases where the teacher or the principal doesn't want to be bothered with the child, the police have come into schools. This isn't just in one city, this is across the United States. The police have come into the schools and actually arrested children as young as 5, 6, and 7 years old, put them in a police car, and taken them to jail just for being disruptive. Now, we're talking about children just acting bad. We're not talking about children bringing weapons into school or actually causing physical harm to anybody. These are babies. I mean, kids that are still learning how to ride bicycles. Because they act up in class, they're arresting them and taking them to jail. And then the parent doesn't know about it immediately until the parent calls and wonders why their child is late getting home from school. Then they'll tell them, oh yeah, your child has been arrested. And when you have a single parent that's possibly working a job and a half or 2 jobs trying to raise a child, you could imagine the extra stress on that parent finding out their child has been arrested. We need people to get more involved. We need the community to get involved, which is why there are programs that are being organized and implemented, but we cannot implement the program if there's nobody to be involved with the program, because we need people. It takes a village to raise a child, and we need as many people involved as possible. Actually, in the next week or 2 on my broadcast, I want to bring in one of my collaboratives who is also a life coach, and she has worked several years alongside Susan Neff, who is the CEO of Frontline Services, formerly known as MHS, Mental Health Services. And she is actually launching a pilot project for families and children known as the Violence of Your Emotions. The way her program is going to be set up, she wants to bring in whole families, the parents or the guardian and the children, for 2-hour sessions. The first hour, it would be the whole family together. Then they would take a break, and the second hour would be 2 separate groups. One group with parents and one group with pro-social coaching for the children. Programs like this are an urgency. Problems like this, once they're discovered and revealed, as you can imagine, it has to have been going on for quite some time for somebody to notice something is out of place, look into it, and it takes time to get down to the truth, uncover facts, and then organize how to properly address it and who it needs to be revealed to. Case Western, Mental Health Services, and several organizations such as St. Vincent Charity has a program. St. Vincent Charity reported every week there are children that come into emergency in the morning and children come into emergency in the afternoon where they have been bullied or beaten up on the way to or on the way from school. And so you need trauma resilience for children that are suffering these type of exposures and experiences. Because if you have a young child that's exposed to violence or injustice, as you could imagine, they don't know how to mentally cope with this. And they definitely need intervention and counseling. The parents probably need counseling as well because they may not know what's going on with their child and they need to be made aware of what's taking place. They need to be bought in on it. So you need social workers, mental health workers. You may even need to bring in counseling from certain law officers. Law agencies are trying to be involved. Not many of them actually have the flexibility or either are willing to get involved, save a few. So you definitely need the people, or as in a village, which is the community, to get involved with this, come together. A lot of times when a problem arises, people gather in a mob, they show up at City Hall and protest. You might get attention for a few minutes, you may even get your face on the news. But after the mob, what happens? Nothing. What you need is something consistent in place. You need a quality visibility to let them know we care, we're here, and we're not going away until something is done. As I said before, when the normal rules no longer apply, you won't change anything that you accept as normal. And this is what breaking cycles is designed to achieve, because enough is enough and it's time for change. My name is Minister Kevin Baldwin. I'm at True Holiness Temple. You can reach me at the church number 216-391-2167, or you can contact me at my personal number. My direct number is 216-346-0862. My church, the church next door, we're in the trenches every day and night, seeing what we can do. I have a full-time job, so you can imagine I rarely have any personal time. Truth be told, I really don't have a personal life because I'm a minister by day and I have to be a social advocate with all my other free time. I'm in the process of actually training people up in social advocacy, teaching people how they can turn around and be pro-social coaches to others. And so we want this program to just not be, isolated to limited numbers. We want to bring people in, train them up in a manner where they can turn around and train others. We want breaking cycles and second step to be self-regenerating. That way we can cover more ground, we can get more people involved, and we can reach more children and get more results. Please contact me, or you can contact the church. You can go on the website and look up Case Western Schubert Center for Children's Studies. There is a list of agencies they're connected with, and if you see anyone who you think can be of help to you, or you may have an idea where you feel you can be a strength, you can contact someone and let them know why you're calling, what you're interested in, and they won't hesitate, to give you all the assistance you need. Something like this doesn't happen overnight. Yes, it's going to take time, But if we throw a stone in the water, it'll set the ripples in motion, and eventually we will make a difference. Thank you for tuning in to Faith in Cleveland, and I'll see you again soon. Between now and then, may you be blessed on every side, every way, and every day. In Jesus' name.